Hey there, fellow travelers. Mark here with Wolters World, and today we're here in Milan, Italy for the don'ts of visiting Milan. And I think before I get started, there's one don't I have to cover right away, because if you're thinking about coming to Milan, you need to check this out right away. And that is, don't think you can get in to see Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper whenever you want. They are timed tickets and they sell out like that, okay? So what I want you to do is go check on the website and see if there's any availability for when you're going to go, because these do sell out. The thing is, there's limited number of spots and it's only a 15-minute time window you get. So if you're late, you're like, hey, you missed your window, there's no other spots available, you missed your chance to go see Da Vinci's Last Supper. You know, the Last Supper that you'll see at church, or maybe you saw your grandma's house. I mean, it's there. And don't think it's here. It's not at the Duomo. It's actually at a different church. Okay, so have a heads up for that. And don't think you're going to get 1 minute more than that 15 minutes, because you go in and literally there's like an airlock you go through to get in there and an airlock you go to get out. Okay, so it is very much a whole process of doing that. All right, so I wanted to get that one out of the way because you need to know that one right now before you come here. Now, when you walk around Milan, you might notice there's people that will actually try to like put bracelets on you or give you flowers or give you free stuff. It's all for free. It's all for peace or goodwill or whatever. Look, don't let them give you anything. Do not let them wrap any bracelets on you or tiny bracelets on you, because it's a scam. They're going to want a tip. They're going to want something, and they can get very aggressive. I know I was here a few years ago with a group of students, and I literally had to physically pull one of those people off of my students and yell for the police to get them to leave us alone. So if you see people doing that, just pull your kids away, just say no grazie, and you walk away and ignore them, because that could be something really, really serious. And just in general, when you're here in Milan, you know, don't be lackadaisical with your safety, okay? I mean, it's not like it's an unsafe city, but if you're on the metro, make sure you're paying attention to your wallet. If you're going to be going to the main station, make sure you're paying attention to your bags. If you're driving here, you know, don't leave anything in your car. You know, usual big city stuff, you need to make sure you're doing that too. So don't be lackadaisical with your safety. And I think that's another thing, is don't forget the rules of the road in Italy, and that is follow the Italians. Look, there's mopeds going by, and there's cars going by, and there's bikes going by. It can be quite an experience and an overwhelming experience when you're walking around Milan. So I do want you to know is, do be ready for that, and don't just wander around the street to get that Instagram picture, because you never know where a moped's coming from or a bike's coming from, because it can be a bit dangerous. Now, since we're outside the Galleria, my next don't for you is, don't forget to go into the Galleria and find the bull's balls. You may ask yourself, Mark, why would I find bull's balls? I'm kind of confused. Well, if you go inside, on the floor, there's a mosaic of a bull, okay? And what you do is you put your heel on the bull's balls and you spin around. And some people say it's for good luck, some say it's for virility, some say it's for a lot of different things, but it is something you'll see people doing quite often, so don't forget to do that. But also, don't think shopping in there is going to be cheap, and don't think you're going to get huge discounts buying Italian design clothing in Italy or in Milan, though this is the fashion capital of the world. Yeah, they know that, and so the prices are according. So that's my next note, is don't think your trip to Milan is going to be cheap, because it is one of the most pricey cities to visit in Italy. And if you talk to the locals, they'll let you know just how expensive it is to live here. And so you as a tourist have to deal with that. The locals have to deal with that. And so accommodation, going out to eat, you know, sites and stuff, the prices can add up. So do have a heads up for that. And this really comes into effect when you're looking at accommodation, because you don't want to wait to book your accommodation, because things do book out here. If there's events going on like Fashion Week or something else, those hotels do book out, especially ones that are relatively affordable, because otherwise you have to realize is there's really expensive hotels here. Those are always available, but finding something in your budget can be a bit tough. So don't forget, you can actually stay outside of Milan, or what I would recommend is, don't think you have to stay by the Galleria or here by the Duomo. No, you can actually go stay out of some of the neighborhoods around Milan, and they have great public transportation that will get you into the city. So that's a nice thing. And I will say this, don't pass up the public transportation here in Milan. The metro is a lifesaver for you, because walking from the central station here to the Duomo, it's going to take you 40 minutes. But if you take the metro, it's like 8 minutes to get here. A taxi, oh my gosh, that's like a house payment. The taxis here are rather expensive, so don't pass up the metro when you're here. So if you're in Milan, you have to visit the Duomo. So my don't for that is, don't pass up going in or up the Duomo, because you can actually go up on the roof and walk around. And what's really amazing is you're going to see the stonework on the facade here is just gorgeous when you see it. And when you go up there, you really can appreciate it when you're up on the roof, and you get really cool views of the city. So you have that. But going in the Duomo itself, you get tickets and go in. It's just really, really a beautiful, beautiful church to check out. So that's one thing you should do. Now, I want to go back to some more tourism kind of important things to think about when you're coming in. One thing I want to say is if you're going to be coming to Milan, don't forget to check which airport you're flying into. Now, Malpensa is the big international airport that if you're flying from the US, that's where you're going to land. And they have the Malpensa Express train that will get you in no problem. But if you're flying like a Ryanair or an EasyJet, you might be using the Milan Bergamo airport, because Bergamo is the airport. It's not in Milan, it's in Bergamo, which is a different city, okay? But that's where a lot of the cheap airlines come in. So if you're flying from around Europe, you do want to check and see where you're coming in, because you might be buying tickets like, oh, I'll fly into Milan and then get that cheap Milan to Berlin flight or cheap Milan to Croatia flight. And it might not be in the same place. So you might fly into Malpensa from the US, then you got to get to Bergamo instead. So do pay attention for that. Now, if you are flying to the Malpensa airport, I will tell you a don't for that. Don't wait in the line to buy a ticket to take the Malpensa Express to come into the central station. See, there's a train line that goes straight out to the airport, which is super fantastic, super easy, plenty of space for luggage. It gets full, but there's actually space. It's done very well. But the lines to get tickets to get on the train can be a bit much. Here's the thing. If you have one of those contactless credit cards where you can just touch it and go, you can use that and just go up to a little scanner and you just touch it and it'll be like, have a nice ride. And then you don't have to wait in line for 20 minutes to get a ticket to go out to the airport, or more importantly, come in from the airport. And those trains go quite often, so you're okay. But regardless where you're flying into when it comes to Milan, I do have to warn you about this. Don't freak out about the turbulence. Look, there's mountains all around Milan, so when you fly in, you get flying into mountains. Well, not actually flying into mountains, but flying near mountains and flying over mountains turbulence, and it can be a bit much. I know the first time I brought Jocelyn here, she was freaking out with the turbulence. I'm like, what's wrong? I'm like, she's like, what's going on? Are we going to crash? I'm like, no, that's the mountain turbulence when you're flying over the mountains and you're coming into Milan. She's like, oh, because she got really scared. I've seen a lot of tourists get really freaked out on the flight coming in, so don't worry about that. It's okay. Also, I need to mention this. Don't think that Milan is just the Galleria here and the Duomo here and going to see, the Last Supper and maybe seeing a production at La Scala. No. There's a lot more here. There's tons and tons of galleries, museums, cemeteries you can check out, churches you can go see. So don't just see like the three things right here and go. There's so much more to see when you're here. You can go to the castle. There's museums in the castle you can check out. It's really, really great. And I forgot to mention La Scala. If you get a chance to go see a show, a production at La Scala, the most important opera house in the world, you've got to go. It's an opportunity that you can't pass up. And the thing is, even if you just do a tour, you will appreciate it. Even if you're not into opera, you will appreciate how beautiful La Scala is. Now, our next set of don'ts actually do with the food here in Milan. And one thing is you can never pass up coming here. Panzerotti Luini is my favorite to-go food here in Milan. And basically what it is, it's a fried pizza almost. It's like fried dough with some mozzarella and tomatoes inside, but they have like 90 different flavors of stuff you want to put in there. But the mozzarella and tomato one is the must-have. I've got a couple here in my bag ready to eat, but that is a must when you are here. And it's literally like a block away from the Duomo, so don't pass it up. And yes, I'm well aware that Panzerotto are really from Puglia, and that's where you really get them. But you know what? Milan and Puglia are kind of far away from each other, so if you want one of these tastinesses, you get them when you're in Luini's in Milan, okay, if you're not coming to the south. But if you're in the south, this is where you really get them, okay? But Milan does a good job too. Now, another thing that's interesting is when you're here in Milan, they actually do kind of like rice. So if you get the risotto alla milanese, it is fantastic. It's a risotto with a little bit of saffron and the buttery texture of it. It's so good when you can have that. You can get that. Also, if you're used to your kind of traditional minestrone soup, the vegetable soup with pasta in it, well, here, if you get the Milanese version, it's got rice instead of pasta because they do like the rice here. But don't think that means you're not going to get fantastic pasta when you are here. You will have amazing food when you are here in Milan. And I will tell you, if you're here on a weekend, don't forget to make reservations for someplace to eat dinner because so many people go out on Friday and Saturday nights that things book up and so many tourists come here. So you don't want to forget to do that when you're coming, okay? Now, another kind of food don't I have for you is don't forget to get the namesake Milanese when you're here, the Cotoletta Milanese. If you're not sure what that is, some place in the world call it a Wiener Schnitzel, but it is a veal cutlet. It is so good, fried up, so good. You have to have when you're here because, I mean, There's places in the world they literally just call it Milanese. That's all they call it because it's a typical thing from here. Now, another traditional Milan treat you need to have when you're here is a Negroni. If you're not sure what Negroni is, it's gin, Campari, and red vermouth. Or you could have a Negroni Sbagliato, which is, instead of the gin, it's actually Prosecco, then Campari, and then the red vermouth. Very refreshing. And the important part is, don't skip aperitivi time because that can save you a lot of money. You might ask, what's aperitivi time? That is in the afternoon, early evening, where a lot of bars and restaurants will actually have drinks and snacks for you to go along with it at a really good price. And you'll see that around downtown Milan, it gets packed after work because people are having a spritz or having a Negroni or having a beer with, some chips or some snacks or some aperitivi to go along with it. So don't pass that up because your budget will help it. And also, I found that's one of the best ways to meet locals when you're here in Milan because they're out enjoying their day too. Milan is a big city and you're going to want to get around the city. And I've said before, don't be worried about taking the metro. It's going to be really helpful. But a thing is, some tourists get the idea that they should rent a moped because they see the mopeds going around here. And I want to tell you right now, don't rent a moped unless you're a master of moped because how the rules are and how the traffic are here, it can be actually unsafe for tourists to ride the mopeds around town. Though they are, if you know what you're doing, they're very helpful to get around. I've actually taken a few over the years, but I won't lie to you, every time I took it, I was actually scared to be riding on it. So just have a heads up for that. Another note I have for you is, I know it's a beautiful day, beautiful summer day here in Milan, and it's wonderful, but what you need to realize is since we're near the mountains, don't be surprised if a little rainstorm comes in and goes out just as quickly here in Milan, because the weather can fluctuate quite a bit during the day, just so you know, so you're not too surprised. So maybe throw an umbrella or a jacket into your bag when you're going around, just so you have something for that quick little burst of rain. And there'll be places that are selling, umbrellas for like €5. So you're not going to be too much for trouble, but just be ready for that. Don't think it's going to be perfectly sunny all the time, though it has been on this visit. Now, another note I have for you is don't pass up coming here during Fashion Week. Because with all the events going on, it is actually a really fun time to be here with all the people, all the stuff going on, the crowds, the models, and the outfits, and the clothing, and just all the excitement that's here for it, and all the events that are going on. So don't skip out on that. But also, I'm going to tell you this. Don't think everybody that looks like a model here in Milan is actually a model. Because you see them and go, oh, they've got to be a model. Yeah, that's just a normal person from Milan. They dress extremely well here. They take it serious that they are the capital of fashion. So if you're going to be coming here, maybe this is the place where you wear that fancy outfit. I know I've seen a number of tourists here on this trip that are actually, you could tell, they brought their one great outfit to wear as they walk around Milan and get their pictures taken at the Galleria, the Duomo, or here in the Navigli section of town. There's a lot of different things you can do, but it is much more of a, wow, people are all dressed really nice here, and it's not just the supermodels and top models. It's just the normal Milanese that look amazing when you're here. Now, another note I have for you when it comes to Milanese, it doesn't matter what Milaneses are there. They all dress really well. But I think it's important that you don't confuse a Milanese imbruttito with a Georgiana. And what a Milanese imbruttito is someone that was born and bred here in Milan. Like their family's from here, their grandparents from here, their great-grandparents are from here. And then you have the Georgiana, which are the people who moved here. Maybe they came here for work, or their parents came here for work, or maybe they came here for school, because you got great schools here like Bocconi University you can go to. But there is a difference between the two, and you'll notice like how they treat the tourists that are here. And I find that the Georgiana are a little bit more open to the tourists and more friendly with the tourists than the Milanese imbruttito, but they're both fine. But you will know there's a little bit of a difference, and so don't confuse the two, okay? And where you'll really see that is when you see how things annoy different people here in Milan. And we have a video on how to annoy the locals, and I'll talk more about it. But there's certain things like the walking slow around town or stopping to take a picture, in the middle of, the sidewalk. That kind of upsets the locals a little bit more, but I'll go into that. And you know not to do those things. That's typical big city don'ts. And then I want to talk about this, and that is if you're making a list of cities to come to and visit in Italy, if you want to have an Italian vacation, a Roman vacation, and see the history and all that kind of stuff and the art, I got to tell you this. Don't put Milan in your top 5 for cities to visit in Italy. Now, it's worth visiting. There's cool stuff to see here. We've gone through that. But for someone that's come to Italy, especially on your first trip here, I wouldn't put Milan in the top 5. Now, if you're looking for places to move to in Italy to get a good job and make good money and live well, yes, it's going to be in your top 5, no problem. But for a tourist, you usually want to see, Roman ruins, so like Rome, and see the Vatican that's there, go to the Colosseum, or you're going to go to Florence and see the museums that are there and see David, or maybe you go to Venice with the canals, or maybe you go to Cinque Terre or the Amalfi Coast. There's more touristy places to go, and that's why I usually tell people, don't think your Italian vacation has to be Milan, Venice, Rome. Like if you've got 5 or 6 places to go, maybe then throw in Milan. But if you only got 3 or 4 places, don't put Milan on that list. Not because it's a bad place, but just because if you're looking for that traditional like Italian, Roman kind of vacation, Milan is not going to be the place you're looking to do. Okay, so I hope this helps you know a bit more of what to do and what not to do when you come here to Milan. If you want to learn more, we've got the Eats in Milan on our Wolters World Eats channel. We've got ways to upset the locals when you're here on Wolters World and so much more. So I hope you have a great time here in Milan. Ciao.